Okay. Welcome into WCSN's coverage of Arizona State's Division II hockey game against UOU. Now, they played them on Thursday and walked away with a 6-0 shutout victory. Now, shutouts, that is something that Arizona State has struggled with this season. That was only their second one of the year so far, and they've had plenty more before that they couldn't capitalize on because the other team would manage to score that goal within the final minutes of the third period. So what do you guys think that they did right in that last game to allow them to stay strong the whole time to get the shutout?
Well, Arizona State did a great job last game, as we talked, with their forechecking, poke checking, and really maintaining the puck in the neutral zone, and their time on attack was phenomenal. Utah really didn't have any chance throughout that game to really get anything going. That's why Arizona State won that game. Now Utah went down to Tucson for 2 games, and now they're back here. I don't see Utah doing really anything this game.
Oh yeah, you're right. I mean, they were just in Tucson, so they're on a 4-game away streak right now, so that's not good for them. You know, they're going to be much more tired than ASU, who got a couple days of rest going into this game. Now, what do you think that this Utah team needs to really do to step it up this game, maybe get some more shots on goal?
Well, in the first game, there was only 1 penalty in the first period, and then in the second and third period, there were a bunch more penalties, so Utah played really sloppy as the game went on. I really think that Utah needs to get in Arizona State zone, not allow them to draw any offensive components for this game. So I think that if you're Coach Dennis LeClaire, your offense is working. You know, they're one of the highest scoring teams in all of ACHA. I think that the defense was a wall last game. You know, you have to stress that and not let Utah get out early on the run.
All right, now Utah, they only had 19 shots on goal that last game. ASU, they were at 45. So obviously there's a big difference there. So what do you think Utah's offense needs to do to try and get through, like you said, ASU's great defense?
Well, Utah needs to move the puck a lot more, get it to the point, move it down low, and move it around, and really get it firing into the crease here. Right now, Utah hasn't been doing any of that. Their past 3 games are on a 3-game losing streak. Again, they're coming back here. They're going to be exhausted. Arizona State's defense and whole team is going to be fresh. They're going to be rotating guys in and out, getting guys playing time. Utah's going to have a tough time struggling. They need to move the puck around, guys, or else it's going to be a long day for Utah.
Oh yeah, now another thing that ASU did great on last game was the penalty kill. They were 4 for 4. Like I said, a shutout. They didn't allow anything to that Utah team. So now offensively, what do you see ASU carrying over into this game that will allow them to be as successful as they were last game?
Well, you said it. You know, the rotations that Dennis LeClaire put on the ice last game were outstanding and tremendous. These lines, especially led by Jason Kuda, who had 2 goals early, and then Austin Ehrlich ended up with a couple as well. So these lines have to really show up for Arizona State today. And if they want to be a juggernaut offensively like they usually are, those lines have to be protective of everything else.
All right, perfect. Now, stay tuned to catch the game. After Thursday's 6-0 victory for ASU, they take on UOU again today, which will start here in a few minutes.
Hi, everybody. Welcome into Oceanside Ice Arena. I'm Cole Feynman alongside Bobby Kraus for the second part of ASU series here against Utah. ASU going back-to-back against the Utes. Utah has already played 3 games here in Arizona, 1 against ASU, 2 against U of A. They've dropped all 3. Bobby, what does Utah need to do to get back on track here today?
Simplify things on the offensive end. They need to play a simple game of dump and chase, try and get behind Liam Hughes and Jace Davis, Dan Kenzie, the big, tough, and rough ASU defense core. I think that for the Utah Utes to be successful, all they need to do is try and get shots on ASU's goalies. Shots on net is never a bad thing. Pepper the goalie with shots, get behind the defense. It'll create scoring chances.
Well, we'll see how it all plays out. Let's focus our attention right now on the national anthem. Tonight in net for ASU, we have Ryan Seltenreich. He played last game against Utah, pitched a shutout. Why not go back to the hot hand between the pipes? On the other hand, you got Chris Coma. Coma also played their last game against ASU. Didn't fare as well, gave up 6. We'll see how he answers and fires back tonight.
I definitely agree, Cole, with the decision by Utah to go with Chris Coma again. He played very well against Arizona State on Thursday night, despite the 6-0 scoreline. You had Jordan LeClaire and Jason Kuda absolutely having perfect shots for their 2 goals of the night each. Nothing really you can do when a shooter picks the corner perfectly. Should be a better performance from Coma today, I would imagine.
Well, on the ice for ASU in the white. Up front, Wesley Starr, Jordan LeClaire, and John Randall. On the back line, you've got Jace Davis and Liam Hughes. On the other side for Utah, Ben Seastrand. That's Michael Ahern. And number 11, Andrew Wood. The game is underway. ASU takes it right off the bat, and a huge hit. John Randall making his presence known a few seconds into the game, throwing a big check into Dylan Graves on the back line for Utah. Quickly up the Utes go. Ben Seastrand carries it across the red line into ASU zone, but Liam Hughes is there to bump him off the puck, and ASU will regain control. Puck is sent deep into the ASU zone for Jace Davis, and he'll get it and flip it along for Wesley Starr. Starr drops it back for Davis, who'll send it up ice, looking for Brady Morgan, who drops it off. Starr across the blue line, finds Morgan. Morgan gets tripped up, and there'll be a penalty on this play, waiting for Utah to touch up. And an early power play opportunity for ASU as Brady Morgan gets tripped up coming into the slot.
Just as we saw on Thursday night, ASU with great opening offensive pressure, able to draw a penalty not even 50 seconds into this hockey game. And we know ASU's power play is one of the most dangerous in the country. Let's see if Utah can get a big penalty kill early here.
It's David Barnes heading to the box. 2 minutes for tripping. ASU on the man advantage for the next 2 minutes.
Got to watch out for Liam Hughes in the high point, all alone with that huge wrist shot of his.
Ryan McNeely takes the puck in the corner and receives a high hit, but ASU still controls. Hervilak over to Hughes. Hughes tries to find Hervilak, but the puck gets tipped out of the zone up to center ice. Now a turnover. Michael Ahern takes it away for Utah into the ASU zone. Ahern cross ice for a wrist shot in on Seltenreich, easily shuffled away. Now ASU on the attack. Austin Ehrlich across the red line. He'll drop it off for McNeely. McNeely back to Ehrlich. Ehrlich into the zone, his backhand, and he'll find its way into the net. Austin Ehrlich, an early power play goal for ASU. Count 2 from last game. That's 3 for Ehrlich in this Utah series.
Ehrlich there with a beautiful individual effort coming down the left wing side, cut in towards the goaltender at the left-hand circle, made a couple of dekes. Chris Coma had no chance with Ehrlich being so in tight on him, and all Ehrlich had to do was backhand it underneath. Finds the back of the net. 1-0 ASU with under 2 minutes played, in this first period.
Well, if there is ever a perfect start, that is it for ASU. Getting an early man advantage, capitalizing on that power play. Beautiful execution all the way through and through.
Ryan McNeely picking out the assist on Ehrlich's goal. This is what ASU does to their opponents. They really try and jump out early and try and bury their opponent in the first 10 or so minutes of the first period. And when you have goaltending as good as ASU, it's very hard to come back from even a 2-goal or maybe even a 1-goal deficit.
That was a quick chance off the faceoff there for Daniel Gowans, but it was shuffled away by Coma, and now Utah will control the puck. Out to the neutral zone, taken away by Jacob Weissman. Weissman into the middle, drops it off for a one-time shot by Rob Wood, but it gets poked aside. Puck still in the Utes zone, finally taken away. Up to Dan Kenzie, who will fire it right back into the zone. ASU looking for a change on the fly. Goes all the way around to the other side for Justin Butler. Butler tries to find Morgan, but instead it's taken away. Josh Dangle up the ice. One-time shot! Wrister right into the body of Ryan Seltenreich and easily controlled for the first stop to play in the ASU zone. 17.5 left to go in this first period. ASU already taking the 1-0 lead over the Utah Skaten Utes.
Josh Dangle's got to do a better job of having good ice vision. He had Seamus Bertinoli running down the middle of the ice all by himself. Ryan Seltenreich would have had to cut across most of his net on the angle across his crease. Bertinoli being on his forehand side there would have had a wide open net, and it could have been a very big goal for the Utah Utes.
Utah's pass gets tipped all the way to center ice for Dylan Graves to retreat and send it right back into the ASU zone. Zach Ginter will carry it across ice, evading 2 defenders across the red line, and he'll dump it into the zone. Taken away by Jason Kuda, who also had 2 goals last game. Kuda carrying it himself, drops it off up to the point. Right back he gets it. He'll fire it down low looking for John Randall, but it bounces off the boards to Utah. Michael Ahern quickly up ice with some speed through the middle. He'll drop it off for Ben Seastrand, and Seastrand whiffs on that effort. A great chance there for Utah, but Seastrand couldn't get a handle on the puck.
Seastrand using the same move that Ehrlich did on his goal. He wasn't as fortunate there. Seltenreich standing tall early.
Wrist shot thrown in net, gets blocked down in front. Puck still loose in the high slot. Now John Randall has it and throws it back in down the net. That gets deflected away. Now Utah will carry it up ice. Into the zone they go. Doug Newell. He'll ring it around the boards up to the point for Johnson. Johnson will try and send it back down low. He finds Newell again for a high wrist shot into the glove of Seltenreich for another stoppage of play.
Looks like that early goal by Austin Ehrlich woke up Utah. They're matching ASU's offensive pressure with a couple of great scoring chances of their own. This is always the key for the opponents of Arizona State. Once ASU goes up 1 goal early in the first, a lot of goals usually follow. It's key for Utah to be stout on the defensive end, and you just have to try and get one past Ryan Seltenreich. If you can get level here with Arizona State, it changes the entire complexion of the game. It'll change the mood of the Sun Devils and lift the Utes possibly. The next goal is going to be huge.
Dan Kenzie will flip it out to center ice where Utah will take it and flip it right back to him. Kenzie banks it off the boards. Goes right to a Ute. Josh Dangle will tip it into the zone, looking for Otley. Caden Otley will give it up to Johnson at the point. Johnson just tiptoeing the blue line. Looked like he came out and said he held it in. Josh Dangle, on the other hand, can't hold it in, and he'll have to retreat and send it right back. Jacob Weissman up to center ice for Ryan McNeely, and he'll give it off to the captain, Justin Havrilak. Havrilak trying to get past 2 defenders, but a good back check there by Caden Otley, and he hasn't poked it away. Havrilak once again gives it to McNeely. McNeely skating around looking for some help. He'll saucer it along for Dan Kenzie. Kenzie holds it in and gives off to Jacob Weissman, who pounds it around the boards. Puck stolen by Utah. Now they'll carry it up ice. Caden Otley once again. Otley fires it down low. Looking for Michael Ahern, but out of his outstretched stick it goes. And now Daniel Gowans will carry it up the far side with some speed. Gowans backhands it looking for Steven Castelli, but it goes off his skate. Right to Curtis Coons. Coons still with the puck with the centering pass, only finds Zach Inzer of ASU, and they'll carry it back up. Now Daniel Gowans once again, this time on the near side. Looking for Castelli once again, looking for the same play, opposite sides, both times taken away by Utah. Michael Ahern has the puck poked away, goes right back out of the zone. Some fast-paced action here early on in this first period. Finally, ASU will settle down and look for a quick change. Justin Butler with the puck now across the blue line. He'll leave it off for Kuda, with Kuda's shot is deflected away into the corner.
Good stick work there by Ahern.
Morgan centers it, doesn't find any white jerseys. Instead it goes to Utah, and they'll flip it out of the zone. Jace Davis gets it, and he'll send it along over for Brady Morgan. Morgan across the far side, around the goal he goes. Up to the point for Davis for a one-time shot, looking for a deflection off the stick of Kuda. Instead it trickles all the way to the corner. Puck gets flipped down to Curtis Coons in his own territory, and he'll take it along and carry it up ice it goes. Looking for Doug Newell, but instead it's intercepted by Justin Butler. Taken right back, though. Nick Fornelius. Fornelius along the far side. A bad angle shot is blocked aside by Steltenreich. Now Liam Pius. He'll bank it off the boards out into the Utah zone, looking for Justin Butler. Butler trying to get behind the defense of the Utes. He'll take control of the puck. Still holding on to it is Butler. Weaving in and out of the defense, looking for Jace Davis, but the pass is behind him, and he'll go all the way out to the red line. David Barnes for Utah quickly escapes the pressure, but instead gives it right to John Randall, who'll give it off for Jordan LeClaire. LeClaire with the shot. Just goes right of the net. Now Dan Kenzie with the one-time shot. That one went off the body of a Utah defender wide once again. LeClaire again. That one's deflected wide. And we'll get a stoppage play here as Wesley Starr was shoved into Chris Coma. Now we got some few choice words here between Josh Dangle and a few ASU players. Steven Castelli behind the play. Wesley Starr right in front of him.
I like the physicality that Utah is bringing to this game early. They're finishing their checks in their own defensive end, trying to clear the puck out. And they're bringing the offensive pressure, matching ASU's offensive pressure. That's something that they didn't do on Thursday night, and it showed in the 6-0 loss. This is definitely a better game plan so far for Utah.
And speaking of physicality, number 16, Chase McDonald for Utah. He is absent in tonight's game. Has in last night's game against the University of Arizona down in Tucson. He got into a little scuffle with one of the players and the linesman as well, so he is inactive for tonight's game.
That's a big loss leadership-wise on the ice. Chase McDonald is the captain of this Utah team, and he brings a lot of skill also, having 15 goals on the season. We'll see if he's going to be missed here in this game for Utah.
Utah throws the puck out to Michael Ahern at the neutral zone. Ahern loses his balance, and the puck goes right back to ASU. Ryan McNeely. McNeely looking to drop it off for Dan Kenzie, streaking down, and his shot goes above the net and behind the goal, excuse me. Now Austin Ehrlich alone in the slot. Ehrlich can't control the puck off of his skate, and unfortunately it trickles right back to Utah.
Good poke check by Doug Newell there on Austin Ehrlich, or else Ehrlich had a wide open skate to the front of the net and would have had Coma at his mercy.
Nick Fornelius with the puck now. Fornelius sends it up ice, up to Doug Newell. Newell quickly up to Wood. Andrew Wood's shot is deflected off Zach Inzer's leg, and it goes over to the corner. Wood now looking for a centering pass, and it goes all the way up to Curtis Coons. Coons shot through traffic, rebound still loose, and it's deflected away for Austin Ehrlich, and ASU will calmly clear the zone. As the whistle is blown, still more pushing and shoving. It's Wesley Starr and Josh Dangle again. Excuse me, Mark Devon, not Wesley Starr. They will both be heading to the box. Coincidental minors as there was a little roughing action behind the play.
That was a great play set up there for University of Utah. Curtis Coons all alone by himself on the right high point. Fired a shot on net with multiple Utah players in front trying to screen. And that serves a dual purpose. It serves as a screen if Coons can make a good enough shot where the screen can beat Seltenreich. But then if Seltenreich is able to give up a rebound, you don't have to worry about players crashing the net. They're already right outside the crease, and they're able to bat home a rebound. That's more of what Utah has to do because more times than not, if Seltenreich sees any part of the puck, he's going to stop it.
So we've got some 4-on-4 skating for the next 2 minutes as both teams send one of their players to the box. Coincidental minus for roughing behind the play. Ryan Francis takes the draw for ASU and he'll give it off to Liam Hughes.
4-on-4 skating should open up more lanes and more slots. Let's see if the offensive pressure gets ratcheted up by either team if they're able to hold the puck long enough.
Ryan Francis slaps it deep into the Utah territory. Chris Coma goes behind the net to play it around the boards and out of the zone. A fast break opportunity for Utah.
Oh! As the puck gets deflected up into our broadcast booth, everyone ducking for cover up here. 10:16 to go in the first period.
That
Good
puck,
reflexes, Cole.
that puck came in hot. I was going to jump for it, but with the wires all around, that would have been bad. Lots of equipment would have come down had I jumped for that one. We're all good. Puck stays up here. Gerardo Baltiera takes it out of our intermission crew. Common occurrence here in D2 hockey, pucks flying up into the booth. We are in a danger zone. It's like the splash zone at SeaWorld if you want to make an analogy, but nonetheless, play goes on. We're all good. Here we go.
They're all making sure we're up for this Sunday matinee game. A little bit of an early start here. That'll get the juices pumping.
Halfway through this first period, ASU still leading Utah 1-0. 4-on-4 skating on the ice for the next 1 minute and 14 seconds. Dan Kenzie will take it for ASU. Spin around, looking for some help. Instead, he'll just flip it out to center ice. Now Brady Morgan, 2-on-1 opportunity developing. Morgan on the right, over to Kuda. Kuda with some open space. Can't fully get a handle on that shot. Bouncing puck, hard to control. Now the other way, Ben Seastrand for Utah. Seastrand along the far boards, stops on a dime. Dan Kenzie loses the stick, but he gets it right back. Seastrand still holding on to the puck, looking for a centering pass. Can't find it, it's deflected still. Dan Kenzie gets the puck for ASU. He'll drop it off, and now up ice ASU comes, 3-on-2. Odd man rush is huge on 4-on-4 attacks. Weissman drops it off for Kuda. Bodies all over the ice, falling around. Kuda still with the puck. He'll send it up to the point for Liam Hughes. Hughes skating in with a wrist shot into the body. Rebound loose in the point. Doug Newell will take it. He'll flip it out of the zone to center ice.
Tail end of this 4-on-4 period of skating leading to offensive chances for both Utah and ASU. Great goaltending on both sides here.
Now Justin Butler. Cross ice over to Havrilyak as we're back at full strength here on the ice. Havrilyak battling for the puck in the corner. He loses it, but it goes right to his teammate Butler. Butler looking for Casaselli. He'll tip it right back behind the net where it goes to Utah. Casaselli with a large hit behind the net, but Utah takes control and they'll flip it out to the neutral zone. Caden Otley with the puck. Otley will drop it off to the corner looking for Nick Fornelius. Liam Hughes gets there first, but he takes the check from Fornelius. ASU controls over to Havrilyak. On to Davis. ASU throws it in once again. Steven Casaselli with the puck. He'll look to flip it on to Havrilyak. Gets it right back. Centering pass. Looking for Jordan LeClaire. Can't find him. Goes to him again. Liam Hughes looking for LeClaire. Tipped pass. Utah getting their sticks in the passing lanes.
That's exactly what you have to do against Arizona State. Their passes are so crisp and precise. If you don't have good stick work, you're going to be caught out of position.
Now up ice. Utah's coming up with some speed. Dylan Graves evades a few defenders but gets bumped off by John Randall. With the puck, centering pass looking for Michael Ahern. Instead it takes it from Jordan LeClaire. LeClaire's dumping attempt gets denied from the body of Utah, and Michael Ahern now with the puck. Ahern high centering pass looking for Bridges. It's hard to control off the body. Utah will lose possession. Jordan Leclerc calmly flips it along, looking for a quick change on the fly. Long pass finds Mark Devon, and he'll flip it along to Havrilyak. Now Ehrlich into the zone. Ehrlich on his backhand gets dragged down from behind. Puck still loose. Delayed penalty called here. The whistle is blown as Austin Ehrlich was skating in, untouched all the way down. Got seemingly caught up in a headlock there. And ASU is going to be on the odd man at box.
Second power play opportunity here for Arizona State in the first period. On the first power play opportunity, Utah did a very good job sealing off the extra man, making sure that he doesn't roam free in the offensive zone, looking for a pass, able to generate a couple of shorthanded chances. Let's see if they can continue that trend.
Havrilyak loses the puck out on the outside. It's laid offside. It's called. ASU had to retreat all the way back where the puck goes to Seltenreich.
Seltenreich definitely been a lot more busy here in this first period. On Thursday night, he only faced one shot the entire period. Utah's had 7 or 8 great scoring chances on him already here with over 6 minutes to go left in the first.
Ryan McNeely with the puck for ASU, waiting for a play to develop. He'll send it along for Hughes, who will forward it to Justin Havrilyak. Havrilyak's slap shot goes all the way to Hughes. Hughes can't find the wrist shot, so instead he'll give it off to McNeely, who will go top shelf, deflected behind the net. He was looking for that corner. Utah can't clear the puck. It goes to Liam Hughes at the point. Hughes sends it down deep. Finds Brady Morgan. Morgan up to McNeely, right back. McNeely up to Hughes. Hughes with a wrist shot through traffic. That gets blocked down in front. One-time effort. Justin Havrilyak can't find the net. Goes all the way corner, and Dylan Graves is able to clear the puck, and it goes into the ASU bench for a stoppage of play. 49 seconds left to go on the power play. Just under 6 minutes left in this first 20 minutes of play.
Liam Hughes opting for the quick wrist shot off the pass from Ryan McNeely at the high point. Might have wanted to take a one-timer there, try and catch the Utah defenders out of position, not allow them to get in the blocking lanes. But nonetheless, a great power play chance there for the ASU Sun Devils. Good puck movement.
Face-off won by ASU, and it goes to Ryan Francis. Francis will send it along the near boards to Butler, and he'll get it right back and give it to Butler. Francis sends it along to Jace Davis now. Davis backtracking up to the blue line. Now centering pass from Steven Castelli goes to Butler. Butler's shot went off the side of the net. Whistle was blown. It looked like the net was dislodged. A great chance there. A beautiful slap pass from Castelli over to Butler. ASU couldn't convert, and we'll get a stoppage of play. Just under 30 seconds left to go on this power play.
Butler getting tossed out of the face-off circle there. Castelli to move in.
The draw is won by Utah, but they can't clear the puck as Francis holds it in on the blue line. He'll send it down for Butler, who'll drop it off. Butler skating in. His pass goes up to Francis. Francis controls it, and he'll give it right back to Butler where it goes down low, along to Wesley Starr, and right back to Butler. Good pressure there by Utah as they're able to clear the zone. The penalty time is expiring as we're back at full strength. The first penalty killed by Utah here against ASU in both games that they've played. Now Seamus Bertinoli looking for Josh Dangle on the cross-ice pass. He can't find him. Now ASU will attack. Justin Butler's pass is intercepted by Bertinoli once again. Ryan Francis with the puck. He'll flip it along. Offside's called here on the play as Josh Dangle entered the zone before his players had cleared. 4.5 left to go in this first period.
Utah just trying to generate some offensive pressure of their own. Past 4 or 5 minutes or so, ASU's been in their own end based on 5-on-5 opportunities and power plays. Got to generate some offensive pressure to allow guys like Josh Dangle and their other leading scorers to have an opportunity to shoot on Seltenreich.
Dan Kenzie with the puck for ASU. He'll bank it off the boards, looking for Jordan Leclerc, and he'll pass it along to Rob Wood. Rob Wood in his second straight game of action for the Sun Devils. Now Ryan McNeely with the lone shot. Excuse me, that was Jacob Weissman. His wrist shot's blocked. His puck is still loose, and finally the ref blows a whistle. Some more pushing and shoving after the play. Everyone getting involved here. So there's a couple face washes. On the back end, we've got We got Barnes and Randall involved. Rob Woods out there along with Jordan LeClaire. Finally, the players separate. Looks
Jacob Weissman skating in all alone down the middle of the slot. Chris Coleman did a great job of deflecting the puck out wide, and he was able to cut back across his crease to deny Jordan LeClaire the chance. He got just enough on it to deflect it out into the middle where he was able to cover it.
Seems as every time we see a little skirmish or some extracurriculars on the play, Jordan LeClaire is usually involved. From that line brawl we had against NAU, whenever there's something going on, LeClaire's always in there.
And Cole, that's definitely going to be something to watch throughout the course of this game. That huge third period three-way brawl against NAU started in the first period with chippiness after every stoppage. Definitely something that the refs are going to want to take a look at and try and keep a lid on.
Jacob Weissman gets it up to center ice for Austin Ehrlich. Ehrlich's pass for Jacob Weissman, excuse me, for Ryan McNeely, that is, just out of the reach, and it goes up to center ice once. Ehrlich tips it into the zone, tries to get his pass right back, instead it's taken away. Held in by Havrilyak. Havrilyak's pass in towards net. Rebound loose for Ehrlich. Denied by the blocker of Coma. Ehrlich still holding on to the puck. He'll give it off for Kenzie. Quickly along over to Weissman. Weissman back to Ehrlich. Backhand towards the center. Puck loose in the slot. Taken away by Utah, and they'll clear the zone. Zeph Fagergren will dump it into the zone. ASU takes control, and they'll give it off for Dan Kenzie. Quickly along ice for Austin Ehrlich, who will flip it along cross ice out of the reach of all ASU players, and icing will be called. Just under 3 to play in this first period. Cole Feynman alongside Bobby Krause here for Cronkite Sports Network. ASU took the first game of this 2-game series against Utah 6-0. Utah also played 2 games against U of A in Tucson. They lost both of those. They're looking to get some redemption here against the Arizona schools in this final game on their road trip. Doug Newell gets tossed from the circle, sending Nick Cornelius in for Utah. Now Havriliak gets sent out of the circle. Both centermen dumped. And Jason Kuda will take it for ASU. Kuda gets it behind the net for Weissman, who will flip it along to Havriliak. Havriliak cruises it across the red line and then sends it into the zone. Puck escapes the blue line. Mark Devine quickly over there to send it right back in. Chris Coma goes behind the net to play it off, and he'll give it off to Nick Johnson. Puck's taken away by Brady Morgan. Morgan drops it off for Inzer for the one-time shot. That was deflected. That looked like off the stick of Kuda, but that went wide of the net. Over to Kuda in the corner. He'll find Justin Butler. Now Butler in the corner, looking back to get to Kuda in the center. That puck's deflected right back to him. Now Inzer streaking across the middle. His wrist shot's deflected off the stick of Cornelius into the ceiling at Oceanside Ice Arena.
Once again, Utah doing a great job of getting their sticks in the passing lane. I couldn't tell if the shot from Inzer went off Kuda's stick or a Utah player's stick, but nonetheless, that's exactly what you have to do against Arizona State University. Get your sticks in the passing lane, deflect it into the corner, try and win a puck battle and get it out of your own end.
Utah takes that draw as Curtis Coons will carry it up ice. Coons goes across the red line himself and tries to dump it deep, but instead it's taken away by ASU, and they'll flip it along the red line into the neutral zone. Coons gets the puck right back, and this time he'll find Caden Otley. Utah still holding along the puck in the corner. He drops it off for Otley. Right back to Josh Dangle, but Dangle loses the handle. Now Daniel Gowans. Gowans shields Curtis Coons from the puck, and he still retains control. Utah banks the puck out to center ice where it goes to Liam Hughes, and he'll wrist that one right back into Utah territory.
Overall, this has been a very, very good first period for University of Utah. They got to get through the next minute and 8 seconds, keep it at a 1-goal deficit, or try and get a late goal to swing the momentum your way going into the second.
Jordan Clare on his backhand finds John Randall! And Randall finds the crossbar, and it was deflected out of play. Tough break for ASU, as a beautiful pass from LeClaire to Randall was not converted.
And just as I say, it's been a great period for University of Utah. A defensive mistake as they allowed Randall to come free down the middle slot. and just the barely getting the blocker out was Chris Coma deflecting it into the netting for a face-off.
Face-off won by. Back up to Pius at the point. He lines up for the slap shot high. It's blocked down in front. Rebounds loose. Leclerc tries to poke it home, but Coma squeezes the pads. Once again, that's Leclerc over there in the corner, pushing and shoving. Some more action down there.
The referees definitely do not want any kind of skirmishes or fights. Definitely not something on the Northern Arizona game scale, but it definitely looks like there are some tough relationships being formed between the two teams. Ref's going to try and get him into the locker room for the first intermission without any more extracurricular activities.
Under a minute to go left in this first period. ASU still holding on to a 1-goal lead as they'll take this face off, and it goes to Liam Pius, and he'll rip that one down low. Taken away by Dylan Graves. Graves gets it poked away by McNeely. McNeely takes the puck for ASU. Still holds it in the zone. Now Ehrlich to McNeely. McNeely on his backhand to his forehand. A beautiful deke. And it just goes wide of the net. ASU still controlling. Austin Ehrlich, cross-ice pass looking for Havrilak. He banks it off the boards and Havrilak controls. Now that puck was easily floated in on net. Covered up by Coma. 14 seconds left to play in this first period.
Havrilak shooting that puck right into the leg of Coma. He might have been going for a deflection to try and bank it off the back of Coma and into the net for an easy goal. But Coma was very sound, didn't flinch, didn't make any sudden movements, and he was able to ice the puck right at his ankle. 14 seconds to go in the period. Let's see if ASU can get one more offensive chance before the end of the period.
Chase Davis, one-time shot off the face-off. That puck went off the body of Coma. Ref blows the whistle as he covered it up instantly. 11 seconds to go in the first period.
Ryan McNeely arguing with the ref for an early whistle as that puck bounced out loose right behind the net where McNeely could have had a wraparound chance, but nonetheless, the ref did blow the whistle. He lost sight of the puck.
Okay. Puck in the corner for ASU. Havrilak battling off two defenders. And the time has expired on this period. A physical period, one that started off with ASU converting on an early power play goal. They got another power play opportunity. They did not convert on that one. But the main aspect of this period has been the physicality. We've seen a lot of pushing and shoving from the captain Havrilak over to Jordan Leclerc, who was involved in that line brawl against NAU. Bobby, what do you see happening later on in this next two periods?
I can't really say for sure. I don't think anyone expected a line brawl like the NAU game to happen, just based on normal pushing and shoving extracurriculars that takes place in a hockey game. But I think Utah wants to play this kind of physical game. ASU plays their game mostly based on skill, and skill is beaten by physicality because you're able to knock players off their rhythm, not let them get the chances in open ice that they want to. Utah keeps playing the physical style of play. They're going to make ASU match it, and then ASU will be playing a game that they're not really familiar with, and Utah will be able to catch them on some open breaks going the other way.
Well, both goalies are playing a solid game, Coma and Steltenreich, Utah and ASU for their respective teams. We will see what happens in the next 2 and 3rd periods, but for now, we're going to let the intermission crew dissect what went down in this first period right after the break.
All right, here we are at our first intermission. ASU leads 1-0. Now, guys, today's game, definitely physical on ASU's part, which it was last game, but now UOU, they've stepped it up as well, and they're being very physical as well, and we've seen a lot of, fights being broken up there by the refs. So what can you tell me about kind of the difference that UOU has been making in today's game?
Well, I thought Utah was going to come in here tired, having to play 2 games against U of A, their D1 team. We played them Thursday. And I thought they were going to be tired, but no, you could see them putting the pressure on, like you said. They're forward-checking, they're aggressive. They look much different than they did Thursday. They're playing a good game. It's a close game, 1-0, and I wouldn't be surprised if they tied it up real soon.
Well, Megan, as we talked about off camera, this game was started off by a John Randall hit over there in the corner, and we thought that it was just going to be like Thursday's game where ASU was going to have the physicality. Then Utah just somehow stepped it up and really turned it up a notch, and that's why we have ourselves a 1-0 game. And I think that Chris Coma has been playing really well in goal. Of course, gave up 6 goals in the last game. Now has only given up 1. So I attest that Utah's defense has really stepped up in this game.
Oh yeah, now I agree. Going into this game, we all kind of assumed that Utah, they'd be even more sluggish after 3 losses, but they've come out here, they're ready to win. They had 3 losses. They don't want to walk away with another loss on this weekend. Now, shots on goal. Last game after the first period, it was 18-1. ASU on shots on goal. Today, 19-9. So Utah, they've stepped it up a little bit, but their offense could still get in there and get more shots on goal. So what do you think that they need to do to be able to attain that?
I think they need to quit the penalties. It was a big mistake early on, less than 2 minutes in. Got called for tripping. Power play for ASU, that's where they got the goal. So I think Utah needs to step it up, not commit dumb fouls, and do what they're doing. Just put more pressure on Selchenreich, ASU's goalie, and the goals will come.
Well, what ASU has really been lacking in today in this game is the 2-on-2 transition defense. They've really let Utah get into the zone, but lately Ryan Seltenreich has been stepping it up. So ASU really needs to fix their 2-on-2 transition defense and really stop letting Utah prevent any chances that Seltenreich has of saving a puck.
All right, yeah, now today we saw Ehrlich with the goal in that first. Yesterday he had 2 goals, so he's been doing very well. He was able to get into the crease, juke around some guys, get a goal in there. Now, do you see Utah just keeping them out of the crease for the rest of the game, or do you think ASU will still be able to get in there, maybe get a few more goals?
I don't know. Ehrlich has a great talent. He can control the puck very well. Utah's defense is doing really good, but I think Ehrlich's going to be able to cut in through there, get in through the crease, and take some more shots. But I guess we'll just have to wait and see.
Well, like we talked about, there was a penalty on coincidental minors between Mark Devon and Josh Daniel of Utah, and that really stepped up the physicality in this game. So I feel like the way that this game is going, I think we may see a couple of fights. This second period is going to be really entertaining. I cannot wait to watch it.
Oh yeah, the physicality, great. I think looking ahead, we might end up seeing a fight tonight. So stay tuned for the second period. Now while ASU leads 1-0 for Gerardo Baltierra, Noah Friedman, I'm Megan Plain.
And we're back at Oceanside Ice Arena here. Second period action underway. 1-0 ASU leading the Utah Skating Utes. ASU in white as they usually wear at home. Utah in the black jerseys with the Utah Utes logo on the front. ASU starts out the period with some pressure on the Utah zone, but Utah takes control and they'll send it back into the ASU territory. Jace Davis there to control it for Jordan LeClaire. Puck's flipped off the ceiling once again. Ceiling always in play here at Oceanside. We'll get a stoppage to play the first one of the second period.
Cole, I think you can make a Vegas over-under on the amount of ceiling shots you have at Oceanside Ice Arena. 30 seconds into the first period. Let's see if Utah can sustain the offensive pressure that they needed to in the first period, try and get this game evened up.
Draw is taken by ASU, goes over. Dan Kenzie takes it across the center line. Kenzie will flip it along for Butler. Butler will take it and try and dump it lightly into the zone. Right in stride, Kuda takes it and he'll give it right back to Butler, but it's taken away by Utah now. Quickly thrown in on net. Seltenreich sticks it away, but a one-time shot for Otley. Blocked aside once again for Seltenreich. Extended pass looking for Butler. Race for the puck. Justin Butler can't get there first as Tyler Pendle's able to recover, and icing is the call just 1 minute into this period.
Utah trying that dump and chase method that I highlighted at the end of the first period, trying to get around ASU's big and tough defenseman. Hasn't been able to generate a real scoring chance yet, but let's see if they stick with it for the duration of the period.
Newell gets tossed from the circle. Brady Morgan wins that draw. Once again, the puck is thrown out of the zone and another face-off in the same exact spot. This time Newell's able to hang in the circle, but Brady Morgan wins that one more. Puck just barely goes out of the zone. Brady Morgan battling for the puck. It goes all the way back to Jacob Weissman, and he'll take it around his own net. Weissman leaves it off for Kenzie, who'll ring it around for Butler. Butler flips it high along the boards looking for Morgan. Instead, it goes all the way back for Utah. Sam Wilson. Wilson loses the handle and turns it over to Jason Kuda. Kuda into the corner, gets around Wilson. Starting pass looking for Butler was behind him, and Utah takes control up to Fornelius and quickly up to Andrew Wood. Wood's handle wasn't tight enough, and it got taken away over to Dan Kenzie along the near side boards right in front of the ASU bench. He'll flip it down low looking for a change, and Doug Newell will take over. He flips it high over all the heads of ASU and Utah players down deep for an icing call once more in this period. Two minutes gone in the second 20 minutes of play. ASU leading 1-0 off of a very early power play goal in that first period from Austin Ehrlich. Battle for the puck, taken away by Herviliak and given off to McNeely. McNeely still controlling the puck with some beautiful stick work, but has it poked away eventually and taken away by Fornelius. Fornelius slaps it from the red line into the corner, looking for Andrew Wood up at the point. Wood gives it off to Wilson, who throws it into the zone. Utah just looking for a change. ASU looking to capitalize on a slow change. Austin Ehrlich along the far side. Ehrlich into the slot on his backhand. Still working for it. Sends it off the side of the net behind to McNeely. Now Michael Ahern. Ahern trying to get around a few players. Gets it taken away by Ryan McNeely. McNeely alone in on net. Centers it over to Austin Ehrlich. But recovering is Chris Coma just in time.
Ehrlich looking for his second goal of the game. Coma doing a very good job of sliding across his crease, covering the low angle where Ehrlich wasn't able to get it underneath his pads, and was able to seal underneath it, ice the puck, and get a face-off.
Face-off taken forward by ASU and quickly thrown in on net, sticked aside by Coma and taken away by Utah, but quickly turned over to Cassicelli. Cassicelli's pass is tipped out to center ice for Jace Davis, and he'll throw it right back in. Taken up by Dylan Graves. Graves gives off to Ben Seastrand, and he'll backhand flip it right into the glove of Seltenreich, and he'll cover up for a stop to play once more.
Well, the chippiness that we saw at the end of the first period and really throughout the last half of the first period seems to have subsided. Might be something that the referees have told the players that they want to try and keep this a very clean game, or both teams are trying to revert to a different style of play.
Dylan Graves takes that draw and fires a wrist shot right into the body of Seltenreich for another face-off in the ASU zone.
Another reason might be that we've had so many stoppages here in the second period. It's hard to get a physical type of play going if you have the clock stopping continuously and you're not unable to get enough chances to finish your checks and throw your body around.
Dylan Graves loses the puck over to Ryan Francis, and he'll give it off to Steven Cassiselli. Cassiselli's pass is tipped away by Josh Dangle, and he'll take it on in his own quarter, looking to flip it out of the zone. Indeed, he does so, but icing is the call. Utah stays on the ice once more.
Got an injured Utah Ute down on the ice. It's Josh Dangle getting helped off the ice from the near side corner.
Dangle not putting any weight on his left leg, unsure of what the injury is as of now. Could be his knee, could be possibly a lower leg injury.
Utah had Andrew Wood leave the game on Thursday night for an extended period of time with an injury to his upper body, his forearm area, but he was able to return based on the way that Dangle skated off gingerly with his left leg in the air. It's tough to say if we'll see him back in this game, and that's tough for Utah, losing their leading scorer, Dangle, with 41 points on the season.
Well, we're back in action once more as Dangle's going to head off to the locker room to be examined. Utah takes the face-off, but is taken away quickly by ASU. Wesley Starr will send it along to the point for Weissman, and he'll give it right back. Finally, the puck reaches away down low, but it says taken away by Dylan Graves for Utah. Graves tries to flip it out of the zone. Still held in. Goes over to Seamus Bertinoli. Bertinoli across ice over, and Barnes will clear the puck up to Graves. Good hip check there by Dan Kensey to bump Graves off the puck, and ASU will get control back once again. Now to LeClaire with the puck. Has the puck just roll out of his reach and is taken away by Utah, and Kane Notley will throw it in the zone, then throw a quick check on LeClaire just for good measure. Up to John Randall. Randall finds Starr slating across the middle. Starr gets his stick tied up but still controls it in the corner. Fires a quick one towards the center net. That one's deflected into the netting above the net. 15 minutes left to go in the second period. ASU still 1-0. Another face-off in the Utah zone.
Chris Coma definitely playing a better game overall today than he did on Thursday. He's covering his angles very well. He's sealing off the opposite side, not letting the open Sun Devil get a wide open net, and he's keeping Utah in this game, although the offensive pressure for Utah has been a lot better than it was on Thursday.
Saltonreich takes that puck, and instead of covering it up, plays it off for his defenseman, Zach Inzer, who carries it across the red line and flips it into the Utah zone. Justin Butler giving chase on that forecheck. And it's taken away by Brady Morgan. Morgan finds Kuda in the slot. That shot, the glove of Coma gets just enough of it to tip that one wide, and Utah will get control. Morgan goes hard into the boards there, looking for that check, and Gasera saw that one coming from a mile away. Now Morgan gets the puck back, looking to get through a few defenders, but has it poked away. Still loose, and finally covered up by Coma.
You can see there with Brady Morgan just outside the crease with number 4 on Utah, Curtis Coons. As soon as the play was over, there was almost no pushing or shoving to speak of. Looks like both teams want to try and abandon that style of play, not get anyone in danger of a suspension due to a fighting major.
Hughes takes the puck at the point, and he'll send it down low, but it gets blocked down in front. And Zephyr Gregan takes the puck for Utah, and he'll send it all the way deep. Icing waved off already. Chase Davis finds Ryan McNeely still in their own zone, but they clear the zone up to center ice. Austin Ehrlich. Ehrlich trying to sauce it over to Havrilak. Havrilak on his backhand flips it into the body of Coleman. Rebound goes to Havrilak in the corner. Havrilak's pass was sent all the way down the ice as it went out of reach of Chase Davis, and he has to retreat all the way down to regain the puck. Possession, excuse me. Up to Caden Otley now for Utah. Otley's wrist shot goes wide innocuously into the corner. Justin Havrilak shields off one defender, and he gets over to Jace Davis. And Davis chips it up ice, looking for Austin Ehrlich on the blue line. Ehrlich holding the puck for a while, trying to center it over to McNeely. Finally gets there on the second effort. Over looking for Ehrlich. Utah flips the puck out to center ice, and now Bridges in on the zone. Bridges and Kenzie in a race for the puck behind the net. Kenzie gets there first. Good work there by Kenzie to escape the pressure and carry it across the blue line out to center ice for Ehrlich. For Gowans. Gowans on the left side. Centering pass to Francis. Francis can't salt that one home. Rebound opportunity. That one's deflected high off the boards.
What a beautiful save there by Chris Coma, spreading his legs as far as they could go all the way across his crease, denying the wraparound opportunity there for Gowans.
Tyler Pendle sends it along for Nick Fornelius for Utah across the red line. Fornelius with some speed along the far side, gets around Gowans. He gets the edge there, but Kenzie's there to upside Fornelius. Puck still controlled by Utah as Doug Newell gives it right back. Fornelius wheels around and fires a wrist shot. That one's deflected wide, and it goes right to Dan Kenzie, who will bank it off the boards. Not cleared yet as it's held in by Graves. Fight for the puck out in the corner now. Jacob Weissman's involved along with Nick Fornelius. Now Rob Wood getting in the action, and finally it escapes over to Doug Newell. Newell trying to centering pass, but it doesn't get there in time. Jacob Weissman gets in, and then there's a check thrown there. Puck set all the way down the ice, and Dylan Graves is there to get it for Utah. Hills takes his time and send it up ice. Icing is the call there, and that's going to slow this play down after a fast-paced action there on both sides of the rink. 11.5 left to go in the second period. ASU still leading 1-0. No team's been able to capitalize since a minute and a half into the first period.
Graves unable to connect with Seastrand on that long pass out of his own blue line. Went for the icing, and now Utah's in a tough position with tired players on the ice.
John Randall now. Randall goes around the net and finds Mark Devon at the point. Devon fires a wrist shot, looking for Leclerc's stick. Instead, the rebound goes loose all the way up to the blue line. Zach Inzer fakes a slap shot and sends a bouncing puck along over to Wesley Stark, who gives it up to Devon. Devon, another wrist shot through traffic. That one went through untouched all the way, down low. Coma couldn't find it. Give the goal to Devon, 2-0 ASU.
John Randall playing the part of net front screen perfectly there for Mark Devon. Devon, not a lot of power on that slap shot, but Coma just could not see it at all, and it snuck right underneath inside the post. 2-0 ASU here with just over 11 minutes to go in the second.
Face-off controlled by ASU over to Mark Devon, up to Jason Kuda. Kuda whirls around and sends a cross ice for Butler. Butler, if he would have tipped it ahead, had Morgan streaking alone, but instead he couldn't get there in time, and Utah sends it into the ASU zone. That puck sent all the way out to Curtis Coons, and he flings it along to Caden Otley, who gives it up to Riley Ellis. Ellis, the new entrance into the game, as Josh Dango left earlier. You see he has no name on the back of his jersey. Now Jason Kuda for ASU. Kuda takes a hit, but he's able to get rid of it in time to Butler. Butler looking cross-ice, trying to find Morgan. He gets there eventually, but Morgan can't get a shot off in time as he had his stick tied up. Still behind the net. Butler's firing for it. His pass gets intercepted by a Utah player, and they'll flip it out to center ice where Liam Puce is there to ring it right back down. Pass intercepted by Ryan McNeely. McNeely will take it in the zone. Cross ice over to Butler. Butler in on net with a wrist shot right into the body of Coma, and the rebound goes to Utah. Now a centering pass over to Ryan McNeely, but a diving play by Barnes. He gets there in time to deflect that puck into the ceiling. Good effort there to get his body in front of that shot.
David Barnes going prone on the ice, trying to block that shot at all costs, and he sent it straight up into the ceiling. That's a great give up your body play, preventing the shot from getting through to Coma.
Utah takes a draw, and they're able to flip it out to the blue line and out of the zone to center ice they go. ASU bench wants a tripping play on there as Dan Kenzie got tripped up. They won't get one. ASU still controls. Austin Ehrlich can't start that pass, and it goes over to the corner for Ryan McNeely. McNeely gives it off to Weissman. Weissman in on net to the side, and he'll give it right back to the point for Dan Kenzie. Kenzie decides not against the shot, and he'll send it deep to the zone. Ryan McNeely behind the net. McNeely looking for a centering pass. That puck trickles out of reach of any ASU player, and it goes over to Fornelius. Dump in attempt right into the glove of Ryan Steltenreich, and we'll get another stop to play here. We're just about halfway through this game. ASU with a 2-goal lead, 2-0 in this second period.
Zev Fagergan taking a big check at his own offensive blue line from Jacob Weissman there after that dump in. Physical play not being totally given up on by both teams, but it's definitely under control than it was earlier.
ASU flips the puck out of their zone, and it goes along to Daniel Gowans. Gowans across the blue line, fires a wrist shot right into the chest of Coma, and he'll make the save for another stoppage of play.
The play in the second period definitely hasn't been as open as it was in the first. So many stoppages, both teams unable to get any kind of sustained offensive pressure. We had the goal by Mark Devon to make it 2-0, but nothing really able to generate momentum off of. No long sustained offensive schemes or pressures in one team's zone. I'll have to see if that changes or if the period's going to be more stop and start.
Rob Wood's wrist shot was saved by Coma, and the puck goes to the blue line, held in by Inzer over to Daniel Gowans. Gowans looking for Wood, but instead it goes over to Graves, and Graves is able to flip it out of the zone to the neutral zone, where Mark Devon's there to fling it right back down. ASU with a quick change on the ice are able to get back in time as Nick Fornelius just takes the puck and banks it off the boards, and Utah gets control of the puck, but taken away by McNeely. That's Jordan Leclerc. Utah gets control back. Andrew Wood up the ice. Wood at the red line, but a strong black check there by Wesley Starr. Gets the puck back for ASU. Excuse me. Hughes holds the puck in along the blue line and fires a wrist shot that's blocked down in front. Didn't even get to the circles. Now Nick Fornelius gets it poked away from behind by Liam Hughes, and Hughes takes it across the red lane with some speed. Hughes winds up on that famous slap shot, instead decides a wrist shot and goes over the net. Hughes opted out of the power for the accuracy there. It didn't pay off as it went over the net anyway. That puck squirts loose up to the blue line for Liam Hughes. Over to Jace Davis for a one-time shot. Deflected out in front by Gaceres and taken away. Gaceres has it poked away, and it goes right to John Randall at the red line. Randall will carry it across the blue line calmly, waiting for some help. He sees Kuda streaking across the middle. Kuda's shot blocked down in front by Gaceres again. Gaceres sacrificing his body on these last few possessions so far. Dan Kenzie's just able to get enough on that hip check to knock his player off the puck. And ASU takes control once again, up to John Randall across the red line, and he'll give it off, looking for Jason Kuda. Kuda trying to find his way through a wrist shot, can't do it. It gets poked to the blue line, held in by Jacob Weissman, and flung back behind the net. Morgan leaves it off for Butler. Butler trying to wrap around to Temp, centers the puck, poked away to the blue line, but held in by Kenzie. Now Utah's able to clear the zone on a second chance effort, but sent right back in, taken away by Utah. Ben Seastrand. Seastrand splits the defense and goes over to the near side boards. But once again, ASU's able to take control of the puck, and they'll give it off to Kuda. Kuda along the near side. Splits the defense, still controls the puck, but it's just out of reach as Coma's there to poke it away. Brady Morgan with the puck for ASU. Cross-ice pass, he spots McNeely. McNeely trying to get a handle on that wrist shot. He drops it off for Morgan. Morgan backhand pass looking for Butler, but it's poked away once again. Morgan, a nifty little backhand centering pass looking for McNeely, but it's squirted just out of reach once again. Nick Fornelius takes control. Fornelius across the blue line. Gets sandwiched by two ASU players, and the puck goes high above the net. Behind it, it goes to Justin Havrilyak. Havrilyak loses the handle. Fornelius controlling for Utah, gets it poked away by Weissman, and Weissman kicks along over for Havrilyak. Now into the neutral zone they go. ASU. Havrilak and McNeely alone against 4 defenders. He'll shield the puck all the way through, and it goes to Mark Devon. Devon with 1 goal already, looking for 2. Wrist shot. Gloved by Chris Coma. That shot was going wide anyway. Nonetheless, Coma with no choice other than to glove that one. 5 and a quarter left to go in this second period.
That was our first sustained play without a clock stoppage here. Almost 3 minutes without a whistle. Team's able to generate chances on both ends. Great chances on both ends for Arizona State. Coma still standing tall, trying to keep this a 2-0 lead.
Zach Inger's slap shot's blocked down in front. That never reached Coma, and Utah takes control. Zeph Vergregen. Vergregen fires a wrist shot in on net. That one saved, but the shot didn't count. Offsides was the call before he released it.
We have not seen Josh Dangle of Utah return to the ice yet. The way that leg injury looked, I'd have to assume that his day is done. That's a huge loss, leading scorer for University of Utah.
ASU wins the battle for the puck there along the ASU bench, and it goes over to Ryan Francis. Francis with the puck, but another offsides call, and the whistle is blown once more. If there has ever been a true hockey name that we have announced so far in this broadcast, Zeph Vergregen might take the cake so far on Utah. That is a name that is meant for a hockey player, Zeph Vergregen. Along there with the likes of Lubomir Vyshnovsky, one of my all-time favorites.
Don't forget Zengus Girgensons of Buffalo, Cole, your all-time favorite.
Another great one. Sam Wilson slaps the puck around the boards, trying to clear the zone for Caden Otley, but instead is held in by ASU. 2 players, and Selton Wright comes out of his crease to stop that and deliver it off for John Randall. There was a delayed offsides call on the play. Andrew Wood didn't hear the call. We'll see if it was an intentional on the play, if they take it back any further than it should be.
Despite the 2-0 deficit for University of Utah, they still have plenty of guys on this roster that is capable of digging them out of a 2-0 hole, such as Seamus Bertinoli with 28 points on the season, and Ben Seastrand, he has 30 points on the season. But they've got to get sustained offensive pressure in Arizona State's end. If the puck's in their own end, this lead's only going to get worse.
Gloves are flying in the air as Jordan Clare lost 1 stick and 1 glove, but ASU takes control of the puck there. Dan Kenzie sends it all the way down the ice, icing another call. 3:40 left to go in the second period.
Overall, it's definitely been a more even-matched game, I would say, Cole, from Thursday night. Even though Chris Coma played well and it wasn't an absolute slaughtering, 6-0 is never a good scoreline. 2-0 here in the second period. Utah has definitely come out to play after this tough weekend of Arizona hockey.
Ben Seastrand with the puck for ASU gets bumped by Jordan LeClaire. He loses the puck and it goes over to Wesley Starr on the near side. He'll clear the zone over to LeClaire once more. LeClaire flips it ahead, but he loses his balance trying to get to his puck. And Tyler Pendle recovers in time. Turned over, Wesley Starr now. Banked off the boards up to the point for Weissman. Weissman with the slap shot! And Coma uses a stick to shove that one out of play once more.
Coach Dennis LeClaire trying to get some different chemistry flowing for his Arizona State team. Obviously, the return of Dan Kenzie on Thursday night from that shoulder injury was a big boost to the Arizona State defense, excuse me. Before his injury, he was mostly playing with Liam Hughes, giving them a dynamic top defensive pairing. But he's been playing mostly with Jacob Wiseman, a little bit with Jace Davis, trying to get some chemistry with other players. so that he can get Kenzie and Hughes on the ice more than having to pair them together. It's all about getting chemistry for your players on and off the ice. Playing with different line mates definitely builds that, and it's something that Arizona State has thrived with, because no matter who the players play with, it's been clicking, it's been working, and it shows in their record.
Brady Morgan intercepts the Utah pass in the slot, and he gives off for LeClaire. LeClaire up to Zach Inser. Inser's shot gets blocked down in front, goes over to Devon, out of the zone at center ice, and into his own zone. He retreats. Quick stretch pass along to Butler. Butler's saucer pass goes out of the zone, and Kuda can't take that one in. ASU changing on the fly here as Utah takes over. Utah's been having a tough time trying to advance the puck in the recent few minutes as ASU stepped up their forecheck and their pressure in the neutral zone as well. Vriliak tried to get a serving pass. McNeely was lying down in the crease. Maybe he's just trying to bank it off one of the bodies into the net. Nonetheless, ASU holds it in the zone behind the net to McNeely. Up to Davis. Davis quickly slaps along to Vriliak. Vriliak battling for that puck, trying to pound that one in. Instead, it goes up to the blue line once more. Over to Liam Hughes. Hughes with another wrist shot! That one goes off the pipes up top. Liam Hughes, one of the more lethal slap shots slash wrist shots on this team, and he found his way onto the bar. Couldn't get that one bar down, went up into the netting.
You're right, Cole. Liam Hughes trying to go bar down, but he went bar up. He's been passing on that slap shot a lot, going for more of an accuracy shot with his wrist shot. And it also helps when you have a slap shot as powerful as he does. If he winds up and fakes the slap shot, most of the time the defenders are going to commit to blocking the slap shot, and he can deke past them, get more accuracy and more open space with his wrist shot.
Well, you saw him try that slap shot there, but that was blocked down before he even reached Coma, and Utah took over and carried it all the way into their own zone, taken away by Jace Davis. Steven Castelli forwards it along to Daniel Gowans. Gowans leaves it off for Francis, and Francis tries a wrist shot, can't get a handle on it. Under a minute left to go in this period, ASU leading 2-0. Jace Davis with the puck in the corner. He gives it along, and it goes over to Daniel Gowans, who flips it up for Ryan Francis. Francis has it poked away, but it gets right back to him. Over to Wesley Starr. To Steven Castelli. Castelli's wrist shot blocked down in front.
Utah can't get the puck started up towards their own offensive end, trying to generate one last chance here.
Dylan Gray's pass trickles all the way down in front of Ryan Seltenreich. 15 seconds left to go. We'll see if ASU can generate one last attack here. You hear Dennis LeClaire yelling on the bench, let's go. Long stretch pass to Jordan LeClaire, out of reach. Utah will clear it. 5 seconds left to go. They'll go into the ASU zone. And the period is about to expire. The buzzer is sounding. And we are 2/3 through this last game here at Oceanside Ice Arena for this series against Utah. ASU leading right now 2-0. It was a much less physical period than it was before. More skill than physicality here. Bobby, what do you think changed in the locker rooms? Why do you think the coaches changed up their game plans a little bit?
I really think that for Arizona State, it's obviously getting back to their normal style of play, not relying on the physical aspect of it. But for Utah, I think it's more so the fact that they weren't able to deke Arizona State into unnecessary penalties and get them to play their style of game. So the coach is trying to switch it up. Now he's got to match Arizona State's style of play, and that's a very difficult thing to do with the skill players on ASU's roster.
Well, that's for sure. 2 periods down in the books. The intermissions crew's here, as always, to break down what went down. We'll be back in the 3rd period in just about 20 minutes. After the break, stay tuned for the intermission report. Keep it right here on Cronkite Sports Live.
ASU leads 2-0. Now we saw a goal from Devon from the point. They haven't been able to get into the crease as much as in that first because UOU, they've stepped it up defensively. They have been very aggressive this game, which, like we said earlier, going into it, we did not expect. Now, UOU, they've stepped it up. What do you guys like about their defense?
Well, I think now they just have to keep their head in the game. It's a close game. It's a good game, 2-0. They've been taking wild shots from the point that they don't have to. They need to make more passes, and they just need to keep their head in the game. That's what they need to do.
Well, you got to credit Utah's conditioning at this point. This is their 4th game this weekend. They're keeping up with a very talented Arizona State team that moves the puck well. Now, Arizona State, that first half of the period, was not rotating the puck whatsoever. You could hear the coach getting onto them, and they weren't moving the puck well at all. They finally get that goal to go in from that point, gets deflected in, and towards the second half of that period, they start rotating the puck, moving it well, and get more shots. As you can see, it's 35-16 total shots on goal. Arizona State owning this game right now from that standpoint. But again, credit Utah's conditioning because they're keeping up with this game, and they're only down 2 goals. No one knows what's going to happen in this third period. Arizona State needs to step their game up.
Okay, like you said, the shots on goal. I mean, ASU is far ahead of them, but, you know, UOU, they've only held them to 2 goals. So as far as the goalie goes, the defense goes, they've been doing a great job. Now, the physicality, they've let up a little bit in that second period. Do you guys see it increasing in the third? Do you see a fight happening?
Well, what I see in that second period is Arizona State realizing, hey, we're here to win a hockey game. Fighting's not the big deal we want to do right now because we want to get out of here with the win and go on and play our next opponent with no one out. Now, no one's going to know what happens in the third period. Utah's probably going to come out chippy because they're down 2-0 in this game, and they realize something. They need to get something going, get their team fired up. So third period, something could happen.
Yeah, you need to take note. This Utah team has 20 wins. It's a very talented team. They could easily come back, score 2. So it should be a good third period. They should come back. They possibly can score 2, so we'll see what happens.
Now, what do you think UOU has to do, maybe defensively, to keep ASU from getting so many shots on goal?
Well, defensively, they need to pinch the zone more. They're letting Arizona State move the puck around very well. Their forecheck has not been on point this game, Utah's in that sense. Whereas Arizona State, you can see the puck gets in the zone, they forecheck it, rebounds again like they did Thursday night. They get him away from Selton Reich. They get it going down the ice, and that's why Arizona State's been dominating the time of possession in both these games they played.
Yeah, Utah needs to control the puck more. They've been a little wild in their zone. They lose it easily, so they just need to control it, get better passes, and get some good shots on goal.
Yeah, now as far as this game compared to the first game, Utah, they were definitely they weren't in ASU zone as much, you know. ASU held the puck more, so they've done better today as far as that goes and getting the puck into ASU zone. But now it's just a matter of getting those shots on goal, you know, being a little bit more aggressive and picking it up. Now, as ASU leads 2-0, we head into the third period. For Noah, Joe, and I'm Megan Plain. Stay tuned to catch Bobby and Cole with the call coming up here in a few minutes.
Welcome back to Oceanside Ice Arena. 20 minutes left to play in this game. ASU leading the Utah Skating Utes 2-0. Much tighter game than it was last time. It was 4-0 heading into the third period on Thursday night. Now we've only got a 2-goal lead. 2-goal differentials are probably the most dangerous in sports, as they've been called many times before. We will see how it all plays out in the final 20 minutes.
Cole, the next goal either way is going to be critical because it's either going to be, as it was on Thursday night, a huge momentum-swinging goal for Utah, cut it to a 1-goal lead, or it's going to be a 3-0 lead for Arizona State, which might be insurmountable as it usually is with the trio of goaltenders.
We just lost the puck in the Oceanside ceiling, and when we say lost, that ripped through whatever material this is, whether that be foil or what. That's a long gone puck. That's something I don't think we've ever seen before. Nonetheless, there's now a puck-sized rip in the ceiling. Maybe we'll see a random puck fall down in a few minutes. Who knows? Now John Randall along the left side. Randall fires a wrist shot and a beautiful glove save by Chris Coma. Stops the play.
Chris Coma flashing the leather there. He's done his part to keep his team in this game. It's up to Utah's scorers to make up for the loss of Josh Stengel due to injury and try and get this back under control for Utah.
Face-off won by Utah. They'll control the puck and look to clear the zone. Cross-ice pass looking for Nick Fornelius out of reach. Dan Kenzie's able to beat the race there, get there first, and icing is the call.
I think for Utah, all they really need is one really good offensive shift where they're able to cycle the puck from low to high, get shots on net, maintain possession of the puck for 40 or 45 seconds or so. Try and get the ASU defense and forwards tired. They haven't put enough pressure on them to really force Arizona State to make a play in their own end out of desperation. Utah can do that. They stand a good chance of getting back into this game.
Brady Morgan takes that faceoff going forward, looking to create a dangerous opportunity heading right towards Coma, but instead the poke is slipped out to the corner. Jason Kuda loses control, and it goes over to Nick Fornelius, who sends it out of the zone. Dan Kenzie flips it right back in. Breakout opportunity here. Caden Otley on his backhand, looking to flip it to the far side. Can't do it. And then he proceeds to bowl into Seltenreich, who falls into his own net. Seltenreich slow to get up here. We'll see if he's okay. Otley lost his balance there, heading in on net, coming hard towards Seltenreich. Seltenreich taking his time getting up. He looks to be okay, shaking it off. Players patting him on the pads. But a huge chance there for Utah as a breakout opportunity. Caden Otley had the puck on his backhand, tried to flip it to the far side corner. Could not convert.
Otley might have stood a better chance on that breakaway if the puck hadn't been deflected. First of all, it slowed it down, and Otley had to wait for the puck to get into the zone before he could enter, or else he would have had a much better opportunity, could have come in with speed. Coming in with speed gives you a lot more opportunities for a breakaway chance because the goaltender has obviously less time to react.
Another big chance here. Puck still loose, right in front of Seltenreich, but finally taken away by Mark Devon. Devon takes it across the red line and throws it into the Utah zone. Tied up is Ehrlich, and he's able to get it off to McNeely, who fires it up. Devon's wrist shot is blocked down. He'll get it right back and throw another one in there, which is deflected into the ceiling once more. It's another puck lost. That's 3 thus far in this game. Puck held in at the point by Liam Hughes, and he throws one in on net. Blocked down in front by Dylan Graves, and he'll take it across the red line himself. Poked away, but he's able to get it down into the zone. Ben Seastrand there for Utah. He leaves it off for a one-time shot. ASU takes it up now. Justin Havrilyak across the red line. He'll try and throw it into the zone, gets blocked up by a few Utah players, and Dylan Graves takes control once more. Intercepted by Ryan Francis. Francis will flip it up into the Utah zone again. Taken out and thrown right back in. Steven Castelli this time. Dump and chase, popular style for ASU as we've seen all year. They're utilizing it quite heavily in this game.
It's the style that Utah tried to play early on in this game, but now they're trying to enter the zone with speed and just trying to beat the defenseman one-on-one, generating scoring chances that way instead of trying to dump and chase. So far, nothing has worked for Utah.
Ryan Francis's pass goes out of the outstretched arms of Casaselli and Weissman. They'll regain control and send it right back in. Francis looking for Castelli. Passes too weak, and it goes over to Andrew Wood now. Andrew Wood with a wrist shot, just wide of the net, and it goes all the way around to Daniel Gowans at the blue line, and he'll carry it out of the zone looking for Ryan Francis. Now Jacob Weissman throws one in on net, easily saved and controlled by Coma. Held in by the pinch of Wesley Starr. Starr trying to get a wrist shot through. Puck is loose, and it goes over to Randall, who skates it out to the point.
Great stick work there by Andrew Wood.
Jacob Weissman fires a shot. That was deflected down. That went off the post and wide. Now Leclerc over to Randall. Randall with the puck still. Holding in the corner. He'll send it up to the point for Weissman. Weissman gets rid of it quickly, but his pass across the blue line goes out of the zone. Now off the boards. Bridges in on net. He gets spun around, and he can't do much. And a strong back check there by both Weissman and Kenzie, but it appears to be a penalty on the play. It's probably going to either be a hook or a hold. The call is a hook, and Jacob Weissman on that back check is going to be sent to the penalty box for 2 minutes. Chance for Utah to get right back into this game.
As Cole and I mentioned on Thursday night, Utah does boast a very potent power play, operating at 22% on the season. This is going to be their best opportunity, most likely, to get themselves back in this game. Be a huge swing of momentum if they could get a power play goal here, match the one that Arizona State scored. And then we'd have, at the very least, 13 minutes of a one-goal game where anything can happen.
Ben Seastrand, wrist shots blocked down in front, flipped out of the zone by Ryan Francis. And if there's ever such thing as a smart penalty, that might have been one, as Lane Bridges coming down on what appeared to be a breakaway. He got wrapped up from behind by Weissman, which denied that breakout opportunity. So, in all, it seemed to be a good idea if ASU can kill this penalty.
The dangerous part with that, Cole, is that you are right. It was a smart penalty to not give up a clear breakaway chance. But if you're going to take a penalty, you have to make sure that you don't deny a clear scoring chance, because obviously you don't want to take a penalty shot. You'd rather let your goalie make the save on the spur of the moment based on reaction than have to think about it and give the shooter time to come up with a perfect move to beat him. But yes, it definitely was a smart penalty to deny Bridges that opportunity.
Coma shuffles that puck along. Utah can't get it deep in the zone as Jordan Leclerc takes it quickly. Dylan Graves gets stopped up by Liam Hughes, and he'll flip it back down deep.
This is the problem that Utah's been having all day in all types of situations. They cannot get the puck up to the blue line of ASU and generate offensive pressure. Now let's see if they can set it up here as they got a 4-on-2.
Gobert and Noy with the shot, and that one's easily shoved aside by Ryan Seltenreich. Now Utah trying to set up the play once more. Under a minute to go on this power play. Seastrand has it poked away by Liam Hughes as he rings it around the boards. Not cleared yet, but David Barnes can't hold it in along the blue line, and AC is able to get a few off. Hard pass around the boards, goes over to Doug Newell. Newell for Utah flips it up to Curtis Coons. Coons' shot takes a few deflections. Dangerously bouncing in on net, but it's shoved aside once more. Seastrand's pass is intercepted by Mark Devon, and Devon will calmly throw that all the way down the ice. 15 seconds left to go. One last chance for a rush here for Utah. And they won't get anything developing as the penalty time is about to expire. A brilliant penalty kill there for ASU. Kuntz gets bumped off the puck by Weissman, who recently exited the box. Now Jace Davis trying to clear the zone. He gets it into the Utah territory and sends it right back to Francis. Francis quickly along over to Butler. Butler evades the diving body. His centering pass finds no one. It goes over to Francis at the point, who gives it off to Davis, and he'll dump it deep down. ASU trying to make some offensive zone changes as they still control the puck. Brady Morgan has it. Morgan tries to backhand flip it along. He gets this deflected pass right back, and it goes to Davis along for Kenzie. Kenzie fires a wrist shot. It's deflected to the corner again. Butler fires it up to Davis. Davis quickly across to Kenzie. Kenzie facing some pressure. He just banks along the boards behind the net, looking for Jason Kuda. Kuda in a battle for the puck, leaves it off for Morgan. Morgan centering pass deflected, still held into the zone by ASU. A heads-up tip play there by Kenzie, and it goes over to Morgan. Morgan now centers up to Butler! And looking behind him was Chris Coma. Didn't know where that puck was. Luckily, that made its way into the pads. And a huge stop play there for Utah, as they had some tired bodies on the ice.
I don't know how Coma denied Butler that opportunity. In about as tight as you can, going 5-hole was Justin Butler. Somehow Coma sealed those pads off lightning quick and denied ASU a 3-0 lead.
Justin Freliak alone, whirls around and fires a wrist shot off the skate of Ehrlich, and it goes wide. Ehrlich up to Liam Hughes. Hughes fires a wrist shot looking for some sort of deflection. It goes wide all the way up to Mark Devon, who pinches in and holds. Now David Barnes takes it for Utah. He can't clear it. Intercepted by Ryan McNeely. McNeely has it poked away, and finally Utah's able to exit the zone. David Barnes takes it up and dumps it into the ASU territory. Ehrlich flips it on for McNeely, who passes it over to Liam Hughes. Hughes carries it across the red line and wrists it down into the zone. Another injured body on the ice here as David Barnes took a check at center ice. Barnes is able to skate off on his own power. He'll be looked at over at the bench. 11.5 left to go in this third period. Still 2-0 ASU as they almost turn it over, but Chase Davis is able to recover. Now they do turn it over. Caden Otley. Otley with the one-time shot, blocked down in front.
Otley created the initial turnover on that play, but Ahern overskated the puck, or else he would have had a glorious opportunity in tight.
Now a one-time shot for Castelli. That one was blocked by Sam Wilson, and it went wide. Now intercepted. Ryan Francis with the wrist shot. That one went wide as well. Centering pass by Gowans goes over to Castelli. Behind the net it went. And the ref blows the whistle. Coma had the puck in his glove once more.
The first goal that Utah is looking for here with 10:59 to go in this third period in some ways might be more important than the second goal. They would need to tie the game. If they can't get it to a one-goal lead, it really makes a tough decision for Utah to pull their goalie late in the situation to get an extra attacker on. And obviously, a team is going to be more prone to mistakes with a one-goal lead late in the third than with a two-goal lead. They just have to get the one good scoring chance that's been eluding them for the most part all throughout today's game. If they can get that scoring chance within a reasonable amount of time, they're giving themselves a great opportunity to tie the game up.
Steven Castelli is able to give it off to Ryan Francis. Francis tries to stop on a dime, blows the tire, but still controls the puck. Centering pass looking for Gowans. Puck is deflected to the corner once more.
Nick Fernelius there with a great heads-up play, deflecting that puck into the corner where it wasn't going to do any harm.
Liam Hughes chips the puck into the Utah territory. Taken away, it's set right back up to center ice. Hughes has to hold up on that rush as they were offsides. Pregame will tip it in for Utah. Jordan Leclerc tried a nifty little toe drag there. Didn't work. Utah takes control, and they'll take it behind their net. Tyler Pendle with the puck. Pendle's able to flip along for Coons. Coons using the ref as a shield there for a moment. Is pinned along the boards by Wesley Starr. Starr Chill battling for the puck. But Utah's able to take control, and they'll clear it out of the zone. Fagergren into the ASU zone gets bumped off by Kenzie. Kenzie gives it off to Weissman, who gives it right back to Kenzie. Turned over, though. Bertinoli with the puck for Utah. Flips it in on net, looking for a deflection. Went to the corner.
Jacob Weissman, great job there of lifting Otley's stick, or else he would have had it on the ice for a possible deflection on that cross-crease pass.
ASU looking to get the puck out of their zone, and indeed they do so. They flip it up to center ice, where Jason Kuda takes over. Kuda banks it off the boards to himself. Puck's flipped over to the corner. Brady Morgan giving chase. Now Utah clears the zone. It goes up to the red line for Ryan Francis. Francis whips it right back in. 8 minutes left to go in this third period. ASU still leading 2-0. Now Ben Seastrand. Seastrand coming along the near side with some speed. Has it poked away by 3 ASU players. And it's cleared out of the zone down the ice. And icing is waved off on the play. Justin Butler, good hustle there to get there. Kuda's able to squirt it out to Vaughn for a one-time shot, deflected just wide of the left post. Over to Jason Kuda. Kuda's bumped off the puck, and they'll advance the puck to Seastrand. Seastrand has it taken away by Inzer, and Inzer will dump it into the Utah zone. Austin Ehrlich alone on the left side. Tries the centering pass, goes off the side of the net. Really, I can't get a stick on that. Utah takes over. Nick Fornelius gets shoved down hard by both Liam Hughes and Jason Kuda, and Fornelius seems to be a little injured on that hit as well.
Bodies getting thrown around, mostly by ASU into Utah players. That's the third Utah Ute we've seen go off with an injury.
Liam Hughes throws that one along the boards. Shot is intercepted by Justin Havrilak, taken out of the zone. 2-on-1 developing. Ryan McNeely, Justin Havrilak. McNeely crosses over. Havrilak for a one-time shot. Bouncing puck. Couldn't get a full handle on it. Chase Davis with the slap shot from the point. Seen all the way through by Coma, and he's able to make the save.
Lucky break for Utah as that had that puck been settled down for Havrilak, he had a wide open net with Coma, not able to cut across quickly enough. One bounce for one team or another can decide a game. Let's see if that might open the door for Utah to not be buried yet and get themselves back in this game. They got to do it quickly with 6 3/4 minutes to go in the third period.
6:45 left to go in this third period. Cole Feynman alongside Bobby Kraus for Cronkite Sports Live. We thank you, as always, for tuning in to our broadcasts. You can catch all ASU sports news as well as D1, D2 hockey on CronkiteSportsLive.com on the Walter Cronkite Sports Network. Face-off one, and Rob Wood throws a backhand in on net, sticked aside by Coma, taken away by Utah, and we're going to get a penalty called on this play.
Looks like it might be on Utah, and it is. Curtis Coons skating to the box.
Interference is going to be the call. The Utah bench unhappy with that. The Utah faithful, who are in attendance as they have traveled well over to the Arizona area for their 4-game stand, unhappy with that as well. ASU is going to be on the man advantage nonetheless for the next 2 minutes.
Utah minor penalty charge to number 4, Curtis Coons. 2 minutes for interference. Coons, 2 minutes.
Dropped off for Ryan Francis. He'll give it along to Jace Davis. Davis over to Ryan McNeely, right back to Davis at the blue line. Just barely escapes the escapes the offsides. And then a slap shot from Ryan Francis goes over the net. Utah takes over, and they clear the zone. Quickly up ice, ASU comes. Ryan Francis trying to drop it off for McNeely. Gets it tipped away, but it goes to McNeely anyway. Still holding on to the puck around the boards. Up to the point for Davis. Right back to McNeely it goes. Over to Davis for a slap shot one time. Blocked down in front. Goes to Ehrlich as the rebound. Ehrlich back up to Davis. He's going to try once more for a wrist shot that went through the legs of Caden Otley. And then Utah finally clears the puck with 1 minute and 8 seconds left to go on this power play opportunity. Beautiful deke from Jace Davis sends his player flying. Broken ankles on the hockey rink. Now Jason Kuda. Kuda skating into the slot. Fires a wrist shot. Never saw it. It was Coma, but it was blocked down to the corner. Now Davis back to Havrilak. Havrilak cross-ice pass over to Butler. Butler looking for Wesley Starr, but it goes all the way around the boards to Havrilak at the point. Wesley Starr behind the net. Backhands it over to Jason Kuda, but it's intercepted, and Utah clears it once more. Seltenreich out of the clears to play it quicker. 30 seconds left to go. Cross-ice over to Butler. Butler across the blue line, skates in, trying to fire a wrist shot, but instead he takes it around the net. Finds Kuda skating across the crease. He can't get a stick on it. Skirts out to Liam Hughes. Hughes over to Havrilyak. Right back to Hughes and quickly along over to Butler. Now a race for the puck at center ice, and Butler's able to recover just in time. 5 seconds left on this power play. Utah with a huge kill there as ASU was threatening multiple times. Wesley Starr takes the puck out of the way and throws it back into the Utah zone. Rob Wood loses the puck for ASU. Michael Hearn takes it for Utah. 4 minutes left to go. Still 2-goal game here at Oceanside Ice Arena. One of the closer games we've seen ASU has played this year at home.
Definitely the toughest opponent that they've played at home, apart from Northern Arizona University. That's what you would expect. A 6-0 score against a team like this was definitely an outlier. 2-0 is definitely more of a reasonable score for the talent of these two teams.
And you knew Utah was not going to be any walk in the park this game after dropping 3 in a row to the Arizona schools. They want that one win.
And also for Utah, they've got to try and get a win here to maintain their lead over Arizona State, while ASU obviously is trying to chase down University of Utah for that number 1 spot in the Western ACHA standings.
Lurk gives it off to Jason Kuda, and it just stays in the blue line. Kuda gets sent upended into midair, but ASU holds it in the zone. Now Kenzie's turn for the hit as he knocks David Barnes. Bo Barnes is the ASU basketball player. David Barnes off the puck. Now Kuda across the blue line. Kuda drops it off for Jacob Weissman, who fires a wrist shot blocked aside. Curtis Coons, 2-on-2. He's got Ben Seastrand on his right side. Coons gives it off to Seastrand. Held on the puck for too long, and offsides is the call. 2:45 left to go. You have to be expecting that Utah's going to be looking to pull their keeper pretty soon.
Yeah, obviously with a 2-goal lead, normally if you're down by 1 in the third period, you're going to pull your goalie with about 1:10, maybe 1:20 to go. You almost got to double that when you're down by 2. You got to get as much time with the extra attacker as you can. If Utah wins this faceoff and is able to control into the ASU zone, I'd look for Utah to pull their goalie right then and there. Curtis Coma is not watching the bench yet, so there's no signal to be pulling him yet. It should be coming any second now, though.
Austin Ehrlich gives it off to Ryan McNeely. McNeely skates in on a breakout opportunity, dekes twice, and the shot goes wide of the net. Great opportunity there as the net is dislodged and the whistle is blown. McNeely came around on a breakout opportunity. .2:23 left to go in this third period. The rest discussing what just went down with all the players, trying to figure out what's going on.
I think the discussion is where is the face-off going to be, as it looks like it's going to stay in Utah's zone. I believe they want it outside, maybe for an offside call, but nonetheless, it will be a face-off at the left circle.
ASU bench is calling for a delay of game here as Utah's been making a couple line changes. Refs don't grant them that wish, and the face-off stays in the Utah end.
That was Eric Gosers that had to get sent back onto the ice as he tried to get off to the bench for a line change. As Cole said, referees having none of it.
McNeely wins that faceoff for ASU. Crucial faceoff, and he'll give it back to Zach Inser, who sent it deep. Now McNeely sending around with it. Has it toked out of the zone. Utah extremely aggressive here right now, trying to get this puck back. Utah's able to send it in the zone. Another big check is sent. Coma still not out of his crease yet.
They got to do it soon or else they're not going to have enough time.
Down to Mark Devon. Devon gives off to Zach Inser, and he'll
Still no movement from Chris Coma.
minute and a half to play here. They'll tip it.
All about killing time here for Arizona State.
And Hughes, from a bad angle, fires a wrist shot. Somehow finds its way into the net. A bad goal given up there by Chris Coma. That puts just about the nail in the coffin. ASU leading 3-0 with just over a minute left to go.
I was just about to say that Liam Pugh's just trying to kill some time here, give Utah almost no chance with a 2-goal lead to come back. And just an innocent little shot fired up high, shoulder height on Coma, and he couldn't react in time. You're right, Cole. That's a very bad goal given up by Coma, although I'm still perplexed at there was even no hint of pulling Coma for the extra attacker while Utah was in ASU's zone.
Interesting decision there, but nonetheless, ASU takes a 3-goal lead, and they'll just try to work the puck around to kill off this last minute.
Cole, one thing that we haven't mentioned all game is that Seltenreich is in position for his second straight shutout.
2 shutouts in a row against the same team. Same talented team would be extremely impressive for Seltenreich, as offsides is to call with 39 seconds left to go.
.39 seconds to go here in the third period. This win seems like a formality for Arizona State. A great team effort once again. Looks like they're going to beat Utah by the combined score of 9-0 in the 2 games on Thursday and now today. Is a big wins for Arizona State. Looking up at the University of Utah, able to gain some ground on them and do it in pretty much dominating fashion.
Utah with the puck behind their net, 13 seconds left to go, and it's taken away by John Randall. You hear Coach LeClaire announcing to eat the puck as the seconds are running off the clock. And time expires, and ASU takes that game 3-0. So here ASU gets 43 shots on goal. Now next time you'll be seeing us is on January 24th as they take on NAU for the second part of the series. They're going to be in Flagstaff for NAU. A few days before that. So some bad blood's going to be boiling over there as the last time we saw NAU. There was that line brawl we called.
That line brawl still one of the highlights of this season for Arizona State. It's going to be a home-and-home series, January 23rd in Flagstaff, January 24th in Tempe right here at Oceanside. But Cole, I know that there's a lot that went right for Arizona State today. We got to give Ryan Seltenreich his dues. 2 straight shutouts, really just adding to the depth that ASU has at goaltender. David Amon didn't even dress for these 2 games. It was Al Taylor backing up Ryan Seltenreich, excuse me. When you give this Arizona State team a lead of 2 goals or more with the goaltending they have, game over. Just dominating defense. They suffocate you out of any chances offensively, and the goaltenders are there to make up for any mistakes that the defenders make.
Well, Seltenreich played extremely well back in that 2 shutouts in a row. It is extremely impressive for any goalie at any level. But for now, we say goodbye to you. The players salute you out the ice. Thank you, fans, for watching. Thank you all for tuning in to Cronkite Sports Live. I'm Cole Feinblum. It's Bobby Krause. Stay tuned for the intermission report as they conclude everything that went down to this game, this series. Thank you. Good night. Goodbye.
All right, I'm Megan playing here with Ryan Seltenreich. That's 2 shutouts in a row for him against UOU, 4 for the team and 3 for him in total. Now, what did you guys do in all those shutouts that has made you so successful?
We've been playing great defense. The defense are letting me see the shots. If there's a rebound in front, they're clearing them for me. All around good effort by the defense. I can't really good job of letting me see the puck good and clearing the rebounds when they need to.
And what do you think have been your strengths in front of the net?
I'm seeing the puck really well, and I'm controlling my rebounds pretty good. There's not very many rebounds out in front, and if I could see the puck and get rid of the rebounds, I mean, it's hard for them to score.
And the physicality between you two teams was much greater towards the beginning of the match. Now,
helping out their goalie, and that's just what they have to keep doing. They have to keep going with that, and they just have to work on the offensive side, and sooner or later this losing streak will end for Utah.
Well, now Utah finally gets to take a break. Arizona State will also have a break. They'll be off until Friday when they'll go on a home-and-home series against Northern Arizona University. The last time we saw Northern Arizona University, you guys remember it. Cole Feinblum reiterated it the best. Uppercut, overcut. There were so many fights. Won against Northern Arizona when we were on break in those 2 months, including an overtime tie as well. So looking ahead to Northern Arizona, what does Arizona State have to do to get back in this win column and face these Lumberjacks?
Well, they're the new rival. NAU, new rivals with Arizona State. They just have to keep playing how they're doing. They're doing really good offensively, defensively. They're pressure on the other side of the goal, and they just have to keep doing that. If they do that, they're going to come out victorious.
Well, I think Arizona State needs to come and have a physical battle against NAU. Yeah. It's going to be fun. It's going to be chippy. A lot like tonight was. I don't know why they didn't go at it tonight. I thought something was going to happen. Good old-fashioned hockey. Apparently, a bunch of the Arizona State guys still want to play against NAU, which is fine. But next weekend, Arizona State, it's going to be a physical battle. And the team that's more physical coming into this game is going to be the victor. And hopefully Arizona State can come out after a physical weekend this weekend, get some work in during the week, and come out ready to play.
Arizona State will be on the road in Flagstaff. They'll take on Northern Arizona on Friday the 23rd, and then we'll be back here on the 24th. For Gerardo Baltiera, Joe Constantine, the rest of our fantastic casting crew, I'm Noah Friedman saying so long from Tempe with our final score, Arizona State 3 and Utah 0.